A lot of people, when I ask them who is your ideal customer, they say dog owners, but that's not necessarily true. Your answer needs to be a lot more specific than that. So a dog mom who has a small breed dog, disposable income, so she makes more than she needs. She's either an empty nester or doesn't have kids. So her dog is her primary object of care. That is a much more ideal, rounded picture of who your ideal customer is. Welcome to the Pet Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Scarlett Rockwood. As a content marketer for pet professionals, I love talking with other marketers and business owners in the pet industry and sharing their marketing advice with you. So join me for the latest episode and learn how to grow your audience, increase your revenue, and impact the lives of pets and their people. Hello, and welcome to the first episode of the Pet Marketing Podcast. This is a solo episode, and I'm kicking things off with something a little special for you today. In this episode, I'm giving you a sneak peek at the first day of my free 5-day workshop that is currently running inside my Facebook group. In this lesson, I go over how to identify exactly who your dream customers are so that you can create content that speaks directly to them. The Possum Content Workshop is a series of 5 training videos that walk you through the steps of creating your content plan for 2022. By the end of the day on Friday, January 14th, workshop participants who follow along and complete the action steps will walk away with a complete editorial calendar for the next year. If you're listening to this before Sunday, January 16th, and you want to get in on the workshop while it's still live, you can visit scarlettshuplot.com/possum content workshop. If you don't know how to spell that or just don't want to type it out, I'll have the link for you in the show notes. Now, before I hit play on this lesson for you, I want to include a few disclaimers. I will mention a customer avatar worksheet that can be downloaded, and that is exclusive to participants of the workshop. If you're listening to this while the workshop is still live, like I mentioned, there's a link in the show notes where you can get in on that. If you're listening to this a little bit later and the workshop is already over, I'll be updating that link to the workshop's listing in my course library where you can purchase the recordings. Now let's dive in and learn how to identify exactly who your dream customers are so that you can create content that speaks directly to them. Hey Fur Fam, welcome to day 1 of the Possum Content Workshop, and today we are going to talk about barking up the right tree. That is finding out exactly who your ideal customer is, what it is they care about, and how it is that you want to talk to them so that when you write your captions and you create your content or write your blog posts, whatever it is that's on your editorial calendar, you can make sure that you are talking to your ideal customer in a way that's going to resonate with them. This is something a lot of people want to skip when they get into their marketing, but I feel like this is the most important step beyond anything else, is actually learning who it is that you're talking to. Now, if this is a step that you've already done in your business, I recommend going through this exercise again and making sure that everything that you have listed on what we call a customer avatar is still accurate for what your current messaging and mission is. If you haven't done this before, then awesome. I am looking forward to showing you exactly how to create a customer avatar. Now what this is it is just a picture of one individual who is your perfect customer. So if you can picture one person who, if every single one of your customers was just a clone of this one person, then your business would be successful and you would be happy with your business. So even though you may help multiple people across a wide spectrum, we're going to pick one person, and that is the person you are going to talk to. This fictional person you're going to come up with is the person that you actually are talking to when you write a blog post or create a video script or write captions for an Instagram post, or you create an Instagram reel. You're creating this content talking to this one person. So let's dive in. Now, there are going to be a series of questions here. If you do not know the answer to these questions, then you're going to want to actually ask your ideal customers, whether that is a customer you already have, a prospect, or even somebody that you know that is not a customer, but you would absolutely love to have as a customer. These are all people that you can ask to just get on a phone call with you real quick and answer a few questions, and then you can offer them something in return. Like for me, I might offer a free coaching session or a free hashtag research or something like that in return for their time to sit through and answer my questions. Now, that being said, you do want to actually know who it is you want to work with. So that's the first question that you want to answer for yourself is, who is the type of person you want to work with? Now, what this customer avatar is going to help us do is we're going to drill down. Let's say that you have a dog clothing online store. Maybe it's bandanas, maybe it's harnesses, maybe it's dog fashion. A lot of people, when I ask them, who is your ideal customer, they say dog owners, but that's not necessarily true. Your answer needs to be a lot more specific than that. So dog owners may be the market that you're working in, but what you're really looking for may be a dog mom who has a small breed dog, disposable income, so she makes more than she needs. She's either an empty nester or doesn't have kids. So her dog is her primary object of care. The living thing that she spends the most money on and buys the most things for and takes care of more than anything else is the dog. So that is a much more ideal, rounded picture of who your ideal customer is. And your customer's name might be Kathy. You can make up a name so that when you're creating your messaging, you know, all right, how do I want to word this that Kathy will respond to it versus a dog owner? Because there's so many different types of people, right, who are dog owners, and there's so many different types of dogs and types of relationships between both. So you are wanting to create a very clear picture of the person that you want to work with. So let's dive in. Firstly, what is your ideal customer's goals in relation to what you offer? What is it that they want that you can give them? So let's write it out as a statement of, I want blank. And it could be, I want my dog to be, healthy, or I want my dog to turn heads when we go for a walk. And you want to come up with as many of these statements as are relevant to what you offer. And then next to those goals, what is it that they value? Because even if they have a very specific set of goals that matches up with what you offer, if your company does not align with their values, they're still not going to convert and be a good prospect for you. They're not going to be a customer. So let's say that they are someone who is rescue is really important to them, and adopt, don't shop is a very important value for them. And then you are often sharing pictures of, a set of puppies that came from a breeder that's wearing your outfits. Well, that may not resonate well with them. And that doesn't necessarily mean that either one of you are wrong, but that's not your best fit customer. So that's not your customer avatar, right? Your customer avatar might be a breeder, or let's say it's vice versa. If you are really heavily into rescue and adopt, don't shop and things like that, then so is your ideal customer. So we're going to write their values down as a commitment statement. So I am committed to supporting rescues. I am committed to spay-neuter programs. I am committed to saving every shelter dog. These are ways to write out their value statements. Now, once you've done that, we've also want to look at where is it, if you picture where your customers hang out, where do they get their information that is relevant to what you do? So we want to think about books that they read, magazines that they are subscribed to, blogs that they follow, trade shows that they go to, like Global Pet Expo or Super Zoo, and then mentors or influencers that they follow. So who do they follow on social media that they consider someone that they look to for information? That is something that should be pretty easy for you to come and think of if you know your audience really well. And if you don't, again, survey your audience. Either get people on the phone or even just make a post on your social media and ask. The people who are already following you are often likely within your target market. So ask them, who are your favorite influencers? What podcasts do you listen to? What are your favorite blogs to read? What's a good book that you read recently? The more you ask those questions, the more you are going to come up with repeat answers. And that's how you know that is something that your ideal customer is most likely to be reading, watching, listening to, and that is going to be something that is going to shape your messaging. So where do they hang out? Where do they get their information? And then a way that you can look at this to specify it down to your audience is create it as a statement of, but no one else would. So my ideal customer would read this book, but no one else would. My ideal customer would go to this trade show, but no one else would. And those are statements that will help you narrow down not just what they're interested in, but what are they interested in that is relevant to the fact that they are your customer avatar. And then nextly, we're going to actually look at all those things and put together some demographic information. We're going to create a fictional person. Now, this is the part that a lot of people will feel a little bit silly doing, especially if you've never done it before. The first few times I tried to do it, it seemed a little silly to me too, and I honestly blew it off. I would fill out the general questions, but I would never actually fill in the demographic information. But for you to really get a picture of who it is that you're talking to, it really is important to go through the entire process. So what is a fictional name for the person? And you can actually come up with the name last. I like to do that because I can get a bigger picture of who my customer avatar is and then come up with a name. And oftentimes I find myself picking a name of a person that I actually know that I find this avatar is very close to. Maybe it's a customer I've had in the past, or an associate that I've worked with, someone that I've networked with that's in the industry. I almost always find myself picturing an actual person in my head once I have all the information down, and then that just becomes my name. But you can also just make up a name that is something that resonates with you, and when you think of that name, you can think of all this information, and it will help you when you're writing out your messaging. So the person needs a name. How old are they? Are they male or female? What's their gender? What is their marital status? Are they married or single? Do they have children? If so, how many? How old are they? Where are they located? Now, you can go as broad as country for this, but even giving them a city and state, or a city and a province, depending on like where in the world you live, drilling down to the city that they live in is also possible here, and there's no reason not to do that. Remember, you're not pushing away anyone who doesn't fit this avatar. You're not at all saying this is the only person you're willing to work with. You're just creating a person that this is the person you are talking to when you're creating your messaging, when you're writing your content. So where does that person live? What is their niche or their vertical? And then what is their job title? So they work in fashion and they are the founder of their company. They're a sole proprietor, they work on their own, or maybe they are a CEO who works in like a professional office setting, and you're a dog walker, so they need you to come and walk their dog in the middle of the day because they are at their office. So what is their industry that they work in, and what is their job title? And what is their annual income? How much do they make every year? Do they make less than $100,000, more than $100,000, significantly more? This is going to affect how you talk to them as well, and also going to affect what you offer them. For example, I have services that are $27 a month and services that are $1,500 a month. So if someone comes to me and they tell me that they make $1,500 a month, then I don't expect them to be a good fit for the higher end services, which is why I have a broad spectrum of services so that I can help everyone to the best of my abilities where they're at right now in their journey. So Think about what is their annual income? What is their education level? Are they high school graduate, GED, college, master's? What level of education have they achieved? And then what is their identity? How do they identify themselves? Do they consider themselves a pet owner? Do they consider themselves a dog mom? Do they consider themselves a rescue advocate? What is something that they would identify themselves as? And then lastly, I really like to add in, what is a quote? What is something that they would say? So when you think of your ideal customer, think of something that maybe multiple customers that you've enjoyed working with have all told you before, or think of something that this person would really identify with. And I don't mean a quote from a famous person that this person would share on social media. I don't mean quote like that. I mean, what is something that this person would say? So for example, if I was someone's fictional avatar, don't forget to be awesome is probably a quote that you could put down. Or making a difference in the lives of pets and their people is a quote you could put down, or you could even put that up in my values. So that is an example of something that they might say. Or what is something that they maybe wouldn't even necessarily say to you or related to your products and services. So if you have the dog mom specific avatar that we talked about earlier, you could say that their quote might be something along the lines of, sorry, I can't come, I have plans with my dog. Because that is something that your ideal person might say. So once you have a quote, we want to move on to thinking about what is this person's challenges, specifically in relation to the services that you offer, and what are the challenges that you solve. So for me, as a content marketer, my ideal clients' challenges may be that they don't have time to create their own content, or they don't know how. They don't feel like they have a support system that might be there to help them if they have questions. What are some challenges they have? They might feel like no matter what they do, they're not getting results when they're doing their content marketing, whether it be social media or blogging or what have you. So these are all challenges that my customer avatar might have. So think about your own ideal customer and what are the challenges that they have that your services or products can solve. And then what are their desires? What is it that they want? So not just the features of what you offer, but the benefit they get out of it. So their desire may be, for example, for my clients, it may be that they want to build more authority online. They want more people to recognize their brand. They want more engagement on their social media. And at the end of the day, usually they want more sales. So these are all desires that my ideal customer might have. And then what are the pain points of your ideal customer? Now, I don't personally really like to write my marketing based on the pain points. I like to move them towards the desire and rather than away from the pain. But it's still good to know what those are so that when you are writing your messaging, you can understand the person that you're talking to and what it is that they're feeling. So what are the pain points in related to your specific business? Is it that they feel terrible that their dog is stuck at home alone all day, if you're a dog walker or a pet sitter? Maybe their pain points is they would love to spend more time with their dog and take their dog more places, but their dog is reactive, or their dog is simply not able to behave in social situations. So if you're a dog trainer, that might be some pain points that your customers have. So those are just a couple of examples. You want to make sure that you write out what are the challenges they face, what are the desires that you can help fulfill, and what are the pain points that you can help alleviate. And this will help you to create your messaging and write your copy around these challenges, desires, and pain points. And you can even create products and services specifically based on these particular things now that you know what they are. So the last thing is identify likely objections. So Not every person, even if they fit your customer avatar perfectly, is going to buy your product right now. So why wouldn't your ideal customer want your product? Why wouldn't they want to work with you or work with your service? And why would this not be the point in time for that? So think about what are some possible objections. I can't afford it. I don't have time. I don't know if it's going to work. I don't know how. These are really broad examples, but what are the objections you would expect if you are making an offer to help someone? What is the reason they have for not saying yes? So identify all of those objections, because when you're writing out your messaging, you are going to want to have an answer to solve those objections for your clients, right? And then also, are they a decision maker or an advocate? And what I mean by that is, are they the person who can choose to say yes or no to your offer, your product or services? Or are they a person who is interested in the information and would like to, but they need to check with someone else? So sometimes in business, this is, the business owners versus an employee. A lot of times with rescues, there are volunteers who reach out for information, but they're not the person who is in charge of the rescue who can say yes or no to whatever your service or product is. If they are in a family, maybe it is a teenager or a spouse who then needs to either check with the parent or confirm with the spouse so that the two of them can make a decision together. So it is important to know the person you're talking to. Are you identifying the person who's making the decision or a person who will then have to convince someone else? So think about that as well on your ideal customer avatar. Now with all of this info, you can now begin to build your messaging and decide what it is you're going to say when you write your blogs, when you do your podcasts, film your videos, write your emails, do your social media posts. You want to do all of them with one person in mind, your customer avatar. Is it Kathy? Is it Dave? Is it Kristen? Is it Glenette? What is this person's name? And you want to talk to that one person when you're writing your message. Now, does that mean that if your person is Kathy, that Dave can't listen? Not at all. But when you are talking to one person, your messaging is going to be more clear, and the person who is your ideal customer is going to be attracted much more strongly because you are talking to them. So think about that when you are putting together this customer avatar. My action step for you today is in the description. There is a link to download a customer avatar worksheet. And I want you to fill that out and then post that in the group. Whether you want to take a screenshot of your filled out worksheet or print it out, write it out, and then take pictures. You want to type it in and then save a link and post the link to the group. I don't care how you share it, but take it, fill it out to the best of your ability, and then share it in the group. That is your action step for today. Don't forget to be awesome, and I'll see you in the next video. What was your favorite thing about this episode? Hit me up on Instagram at Scarlett Rockwood to tell me about it or ask any questions that you have about marketing your own pet business. If you know other pet professionals who would love this podcast, go ahead and screenshot this episode and share it to your Instagram stories. Be sure to tag me when you do, because seeing who's listening and hearing your feedback is 100% what motivates me to keep doing what I do. You can also join the Content Marketing for Pet Professionals Facebook group to connect with other pet industry professionals like you. If you'd like to follow up on any of the resources or links mentioned in this episode, you can find them in the show notes. Don't forget to be awesome, and I'll see you in the next episode.